No longer the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier. We're not only going to talk about the finale, but the series in general as a whole. This series, what I really liked is that it dealt with a real life issues and political issues, a lot of things that we see in our society day to day, and it was merged with what the MCU does so well, but it made it feel that much relatable. It made it feel so real, so relatable. We have so many themes that the show has, like terrorism or all these groups that form for supposedly a good cause. They believe in something, but then society considers them as terrorism. We deal with social and political issues. It also gives that vibe of like veterans, like a veteran show. And Bucky Barnes is what brings that to the table, because he used to be the Winter Soldier, somebody that his mind was being controlled by Hydra and he was forced to kill people. But now that he's out of that, it's kind of like him dealing, like how a veteran deals with PTSD. But this PTSD is really different. It's something that he remembers. I mean, I'm sure veterans in general in real life, they remember everything that they do, especially if they kill people. But for Bucky, is more it's more, I guess, difficult, because he not only does he remember, but it's because it makes it more painful because he wasn't able to do anything about it. And that's what I really like. I think my favorite character was Bucky out of this whole show. And Sam, on the other hand, is dealing with being the Falcon, coming back after the blip, but then nothing's going well for him. Nothing's going well with his family. He's trying to rebuild what his family has lost. He's dealing with the loss of Steve Rogers, and then he's dealing with just feeling overwhelmed because he didn't take up the shield, and then he sees that somebody else took it, John Walker. And that's where him and Bucky clash, because they have two different beliefs. Bucky's always getting on his case for not taking up the shield, because Sam doesn't feel like he deserves it. He says himself it feels like it belongs to somebody else. The fact that Bucky's telling him that no, it's your shield, it's your responsibility, this is your legacy. But then we have this other character that comes along. It's Isaiah Bradley. He's another war veteran who they tested on him with the super soldier serum, and he tells Sam that he shouldn't get involved because people are not going to accept him. Society's not going to accept him because he's African American, and because the fact that he's not white, the fact that he's not that stereotypical figure of blonde hair, blue or green eyes, that he will not be accepted. And that kind of makes Sam feel like, oh, you know, damn, he's right. And that just shows the reality of what goes on in this world. I mean, let's be real. If you ain't white, and no offense to you white folks, then it's really hard to be just being accepted in something that is in positions that are just dominantly seen by white Americans. Something that also made me connect to this show a lot was the fact that we're dealing with a global pandemic. And in the MCU, they're dealing with a pandemic in their world, which was when Thanos did the snap, the blip, when half the people in the world disappeared. That was their pandemic. That's the world pandemic of the MCU, really, when you think about it. I mean, we're dealing with a virus, and you could say they're dealing with a virus of their own, except people are not dying of it. And for the people that came back after 5 years, it was like a whole new world to them. I mean, I know 5 years doesn't seem like a lot, but in 5 years, the world could change a lot. Proven point. I mean, if you go back 5 years ago, who would have thought that we would all be wearing masks outside, that people would be dying because of a world pandemic? Businesses would have been shut down. So yeah, a lot did change with 5 years, and that's kind of similar to what happened here in this MCU. Businesses were getting shut down because a lot of people lost their homes, a lot of people lost their jobs, people ended up homeless, and that is what's going on today. It's provoking a movement. There are these rent strikes going on, there are these riots, people standing up for what they believe in. People think that it's unfair. They're standing up for what they believe in because it's unfair that people are losing their homes, because people don't have jobs, so therefore they can't pay rent. And that's kind of, we get a little bit of what these people that were disappeared during the bleed, we kind of know what that feels like. And that's what Marvel does really well with this show. That is not your typical superhero show. It's not your typical, okay, just superheroes fighting villains. No, it's actually dealing with real world themes, with real world situations. Now, to get into just some of the negatives, so some of the things that I didn't like, that I would like to see more. Baron Zemo, he's like great on the show. I mean, it was great whenever he was there, because he was like this manipulator, which caused Bucky and Sam to crash even more, because he was always like doing his thing. He was like the puppet master. So I wish I could have saw more of him, but I know this is not the end. I know we're definitely going to see more of him. I thought he was going to be the main villain. I mean, we all thought, because he he showed up on the trailer. But it turns out that the main villain was this annoying girl. Yeah, I did not like her one bit, because I just found her like kind of a brat, just an annoying brat that's just complaining the whole time. And the fact that she started a movement was like, seriously, like her, like you could have just gotten somebody else, someone we could actually think, okay, maybe they do have a reason. I wanted someone that we could be like, okay, I know he or she is a bad person or the villain, but in a way they kind of have a point. So I wish we had someone that would kind of make us stay in between and see both sides and be like, okay, this is a hard decision. When you would ask yourself who would you side to, you wouldn't really get like an easy answer of who you would side to. I want someone that would put me in the middle and be like, well, you know, both sides do make a point. I think that's what would have made it more interesting. John Walker representing that theme for lust for power, because he starts off doing things right. He's like, okay, I'm the new Captain America, I'm gonna do this for my country. But then he sees that there's more to the shield, and then when he finds out about the super soldier serum, it's like that like opens his eyes, and then that eventually starts making him want more. And then it's no longer about what he's doing with the country, but it's really more for himself. Agent Carter is now someone that we all have our eyes on. She's definitely up to something if you saw that end credit scene. So we know this is not the last of her. We know she's going to be behind the scenes of something. And as for the finale, I mean, check out the suit. It's no longer Falcon or Black Falcon like this one guy said, but it's the new Captain America. And well, in the beginning, it was a bummer that when Sam first showed up with the suit, we didn't really get to see like the colors or anything vibrant, because he was fighting in the building with Mr. French over here, but it was like a red, everything was just red, so we really couldn't see the colors until the very end. So to conclude this whole thing, the main message that I really liked was that just because you're not the race that you see everyone dominating in certain positions doesn't mean that you can't go for it. The fact that Sam is now the new Captain America, I like what he said in the series finale, that he said, look, I know that some people are not going to agree with what I'm doing because I'm black and I'm wearing the stars and stripes. I can feel the looks, I can feel the stares. But the one superpower that I know I have is not the super soldier serum, but is the belief that we can change things. I think that's a good message to everybody, that no matter what race you're from, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you set your mind to, as long as you know what you believe in, then go for it. Because no matter what, you're always going to have haters, so why not go for it? I think it was the right time for Marvel to give Sam the shield. I mean, it feels like the year where we're gonna have the new phase of Marvel. I mean, we're having Sam as the new Captain America. We have Shang-Chi coming up. So we have all these other races now on the front line, when back then all we would see, you know, would be just Caucasian. So it makes me happy to see just other races take up the mantle. We're still waiting for a representation of the Hispanics, Marvel, but you know what? For now, I guess I'll stick with Miles Morales. Well, half of them, for that matter. But in the end, I can't wait to see what Marvel does in Season 2. Rumors were already starting even before Season 1 was released. Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Definitely recommend it. If you haven't seen it, then first like this video, subscribe, turn your post notifications on, then get out of YouTube and go to Disney Plus and just watch this series. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video and watching, and we'll see you next time.